5 years into our marriage, Shen Sui still refuses to mark me. His union with me was merely a means to save his beloved. His affection and body, of course, are reserved for that person. Once again, during the season of desire, he callously cast me out of our home. I reached out, my fingers grazing the hem of the tall alpha's garment. The man, who had always been at odds with Shen Sui, bore an air of icy disdain. I am not fond of fleeting romances. Later, at the stroke of midnight, beneath the crescent moon, Shen Sui dialed a number in search of his beloved, only to be met with ambiguous gasps on the line. Behave, let me mark you once more. Just this once, I promise it will be the last. As the season of Estrus approached, I dutifully went for a medical checkup. Your partner has yet to arrive? The young Omega physician wore a vexed expression. I recalled Shen Sui's prolonged absence and tightened my grip on the fabric of my clothing, responding with a pained voice. He is busy. Busy to the extent of neglecting to mark his own partner? It has been 5 years each time you rely on suppressants. Do you realize the potential harm they inflict on your body? Suppressants are akin to poison for an Omega, yet I find myself with no alternative, for Shen Sui refuses to mark me. After a moment's hesitation, I finally spoke. Please prescribe me 3 doses of the enhanced suppressants. Doctor. He shook his head, sighing. Shang Ning, it is not that I am unwilling to prescribe them. Your body has reached its threshold, and suppressants are no longer effective. If you cannot be marked this time, your glands will surely fail. I mechanically nodded, clutching the prescription as I exited the examination room. The doctor's somber voice followed me from behind. Shang Ning, seek assistance from the Omega Protection Association. The Shen family wields immense power across the stars. No protective association could save me. Upon leaving the hospital, I opened my phone and called Shen Sui. The phone rang 3 times before the voice on the other end belonged to his white moonlight. Su Yen. I urgently need to speak with Shen Sui. I could hear the sound of running water on the line. Su Yen chuckled softly, his voice husky from postcoital intimacy. Ah Sui is in the shower. His words felt like a knife, ruthlessly twisting in my heart. My already aching heart shattered into a million pieces. Shen Sui, my supposed partner, forces me to endure the torment of each Estrus alone. If he does not care for me, he should never have married me. What does it mean to marry me and then treat me with such disdain? I clenched my sleeves, striving to maintain my composure. The sound of water ceased, and indistinct conversation drifted through the receiver. With Su Yen, Shen Sui always displayed boundless patience with me. It was a different story. Shang Ning, what are you up to now? I recounted the doctor's words from earlier, then numbly inquired, Shen Sui, will you be able to come back and mark me that day? I expected him to refuse, yet to my surprise, Shen Sui responded with a simple all right. He snorted, what do you think this is? He'll just return to accompany you then. He agreed. How wonderful! If Shen Sui could thoroughly mark me just once, my next Estrus would be far more bearable, that I would no longer need to fret about my pheromones spiraling out of control and could seek employment like any other Omega. With hope in my heart, I returned home. But Shen Sui deceived me. 2. On the second day of the heat cycle, Shen Sui still had not returned home. The last dose of the suppressant had been exhausted. The doctor was indeed correct. This time, the suppressant proved ineffective. Waves of desire gnawed at my reason, a tremor coursing from my lower abdomen throughout my body, as if 1,000 needles were stirring within my glands. My hair was drenched. My consciousness struggled amidst chaos and collapse. I felt I had reached my limits. Fortunately, at that moment, I heard Shen Sui's voice from downstairs. He had truly returned to claim me, to rescue me. Elated yet unsteady, I descended the staircase, only to freeze in place upon entering the living room. Shen Sui was seated on the sofa alongside Su Yen. Su Yen held my cup, feeding the small dog cradled in his arms. Wasn't he supposed to accompany me through my heat? Why had he brought Su Yen with him? I stood there, somewhat at a loss. Eventually, it was Su Yen who broke the silence, his gaze wandering over my sweat-soaked nightgown, as he playfully poked Shen Sui. So this is what a heat cycle looks like, huh? Thankfully, they removed my glands to save you back then. Otherwise, this would be utterly embarrassing. Only then did Shen Sui notice my disheveled state at the staircase. With a cigar clenched between his teeth and a frown etched on his brow, he scolded me. Do you not know to inject a suppressant during your heat? Who do you think you're showing yourself to in this state? Gripping the banister, I felt as though I were engulfed in flames, and I managed to speak, my voice dry and strained. Shen Sui, the suppressant is ineffective. You promised you would mark me this time. I truly could not endure any longer. Each heat cycle necessitated a partner's marking for solace. Without it, desire would surge higher each time, and the suppressant acted like poison, only numbing the pain at the cost of my health. A flicker of concern seemed to flash in Shen Sui's eyes, yet it vanished upon seeing Su Yan's disappointed expression. Shen Sui brushed off the ash from his cigar, as if I were something filthy. Shang Ning, are you unaware that Su Yan lost his glands to save me? Must you make a scene in front of him? Now, either you go upstairs and administer the suppressant for me, or I will have someone throw you out. I clenched my palms, trying to maintain a shred of sanity amidst the flames of desire, anger and humiliation intertwining within me. What did Su Yan's loss of glands have to do with me? I had not caused his affliction. Why should I endure torment because of him? But Shen Sui would not heed my explanations. The moment I opened my mouth, he summoned his subordinates to drag me away. As I was pulled outside, I heard Su Yan exclaim, "Brother Shen Sui, I've heard that those in heat are at their most vulnerable. He won't come to harm, will he?" Shen Sui's voice was indifferent, laced with disdain. "Do not worry about him, he surely has suppressants on him. After 5 years of marriage, he always resorts to such tricks to compel me to mark him. It's quite disgusting. Yet, Shen Sui, this time the suppressant is truly ineffective. It has ceased to work." The bodyguards complied with his orders, abandoning me far from the Shen family villa. My consciousness was waning, my entire being felt as though it were ignited by fire. Without a phone, I was unable to call for help. In the haze of my mind, a powerful scent of cedar wafted into my nostrils. "Are you still alive?" I sensed a formidable presence, devoid of a partner's scent. My awareness had nearly faded entirely. I could not discern his features, yet I clung desperately to his wrist. "Please, mark me." 3. The man stood there, stunned for a long time, and I grew increasingly anxious. Aren't they typically eager to engage during a heat cycle? Could it be that he was unwilling? In my discomfort, I entwined myself around him. He brushed me off, a mocking laugh escaping his lips. "Shang Ning, understand this clearly. I am not your partner," I gasped, instinctively clutching his hand tightly. "I know, please mark me." My eyes had lost much of their clarity, consumed by the singular desire to possess this elusive figure. The man with cold, proud features scoffed, methodically prying my fingers apart. "Shang Ning, I have no interest in partnered men. If you seek a fleeting affair, look elsewhere. This is not a fleeting affair. I wish for you to mark me completely." I never anticipated I would shamelessly grasp a man's pant leg, pleading for him to mark me. A complete marking posed no significant detriment to him. Although I could not seek out other men, I could endure the heat without my partner nearby. Once he marked me entirely, I would be free of him. Surely, no reasonable man could resist the temptation to fully mark an attractive individual. In my stupor, I fell into an embrace suffused with the scent of cedar. I wrapped my arms around his neck, yearning to inhale the aroma of his pheromones. He chuckled wickedly, "Be good. I shall grant you that shortly." Then he turned and drove to the hospital. This scoundrel, yet I had long since lost the strength to resist. He patted my face. "When you awaken to find that I have marked you, you will want to kill me. Shang Ning, I told you I have no interest in partnered men." I could barely breathe. Beads of sweat dripped from my forehead. This time, if I did not receive a marking, I would truly succumb. In my haze, I heard the doctor chastising him. "He has consumed too many suppressants. They are now ineffective for him. What purpose do you serve as a partner? Such a rare and exquisite lineage, and you allow him to endure with suppressants each month? Surely it can't be that you're incapable?" The silence outside lingered for an eternity. Then a pair of large hands lifted me once more. "Shang Ning, if you were to deny me after this, I would kill you." I clung to his neck, unable to suppress a moan. The car sped down the road, and I was draped over him, gasping for breath. As soon as the car halted, he seized my flailing hands, tossing me onto the bed. I heard warm breaths whispering in my ear. "Shang Ning, you came to me willingly." He lowered his head, roughly biting my lip, enveloped entirely by the scent of cedar. I felt like a traveler who had wandered in a desert for too long, thirsting for the sweet nectar of rain. Yet, humans are inherently greedy. Having tasted this, I craved more, desperately tearing at his clothing, climbing onto his shoulders. The man's movements were both clumsy and fierce, as if he sought to fill every part of me. "Sang Ning, Sang Ning." Gradually, the fragrance of cedar intertwined with the sweetness of cherry wine. In the heat of passion, the young man pressed himself against my shoulder, fiercely biting into my glands. "You are mine." In the midst of the storm, he marked me completely. For when I awoke, it was already the evening of the 3rd day. The one who marked me yesterday was Ling, the heir of the Yu family, and Shen Sui's sworn enemy. Cold and aloof, he was not someone to be trifled with. I propped myself up, my weary and aching body struggling to rise, memories of his strong arms and heated abdomen flooding my mind. My legs buckled, and I collapsed back onto the blanket. Hearing the commotion, he opened the door and entered, his usually haughty demeanor softened by a gentle smile. Awake? If you're awake, get up and eat something. After that, I'll take you for a checkup. After being fed by Ling, whose generosity was impossible to refuse, I managed to regain a modicum of strength. He drove me to the hospital. The doctor informed me that my bodily metrics had returned to normal, and Ling breathed a sigh of relief, as did I. Seizing the opportunity while he was preoccupied with payment, I made my escape. Marking is merely instinctual, unrelated to love. Moreover, I was the spouse of his arch-nemesis, Shui. I did not wish to become a pawn in their rivalry. It was nothing more than a fleeting affair. I produced the prepared divorce agreement and presented it to Shui. Our marriage was a product of federal matchmaking. Upon reaching a certain age, one is required to find a marital partner. Initially, I held little hope for my federally matched partner. However, on the day of our blind date, he appeared dashing and exceedingly patient, enveloped in a rich and romantic scent of rum, which incited an uncontrollable fondness within me. After a few dates, he took the initiative to propose, and with a compatibility score of 90% alongside my ideal type, what reason did I have to refuse? It was only later that I learned he married me solely because his beloved Suyen had lost her glands, and the Shin family disapproved of a spouse without such a trait. They concealed Suyen and coerced him. After our marriage, the Shin family returned Suyen to Shui, who then paraded around with her, seemingly oblivious to my presence. Seeking an explanation, I confronted him, questioning my place in his life. In the dimly lit corner of a private room, Shui's voice was cold. Shang Ning, if it weren't for a yen, do you truly believe a destitute like you could ever marry me? In that moment, I realized how he truly perceived me. It was time for all of this to come to an end. Returning to my small apartment, I prepared meticulously for a job interview the following day. As a designer, I had been hindered by a prolonged cycle of Estrus, which had prevented me from working for an extended period. Now, I was finally ready to re-enter the workforce. However, after several days of interviews, I received no promising outcomes, and some even retracted their offers at the last minute. It was during this tumultuous time that Shui called. He must have received the divorce agreement I sent. Shang Ning, it's just a cycle of Estrus, I sent it. I'll accompany you through the next one. Have you had your fill of this drama? If you're done, return promptly. The scent of cedar still lingered on me, and after a moment of silence, I replied softly, Shui, I have sent you the divorce agreement. Please sign it and we can arrange a time for the divorce. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds before he suddenly laughed derisively. The tactic of feigned withdrawal doesn't work on me. I won't pursue the matter of your forged test results. What? Stop pretending. You've had the time to interview, and since I haven't marked you, you're doing just fine. I know you're faking it. My head buzzed with anger, a wave of fury surging to the top. Shui, did you orchestrate my interviews? Do you have any idea how hard I've worked and long to get back to work? What gives you the right? What gives you the right? He scoffed, what will others think if you work? Does Shui not have the means to support his own? As long as I'm around, I guarantee you won't find any work on the main star. Shui kept his word. Days turned into weeks, and despite submitting hundreds of resumes, there was no response. All my cards had been frozen by him. To make matters worse, I began to exhibit signs of Estrus once more. Yet the doctor had clearly stated there was nothing to worry about. I sold the watch my father left me and went back to the hospital for an examination, only to be told it was normal. You've gone too long without being marked, so once isn't sufficient. Have your partner mark you 2 more times and you'll be fine. I froze in place, the image of his cold, proud brow suddenly flashing before my eyes. After leaving without a word that day, he must be infuriated now. Seeking him for another marking would be akin to courting disaster. With a heavy heart, I exited the hospital, only to unexpectedly encounter Suyen. He was holding a bag of medication and, upon seeing me, couldn't resist a taunt. Fell into despair after leaving a Shui for just 2 days? How laughable you are. Even after bearing it all before Shui, he wouldn't mark you. My gaze fell upon the medical bag in his hand, the marking glaringly evident. But wasn't Suyen in the same boat? Never mind. Shui's affairs with Suyen had nothing to do with me. I sighed. Let Shui finalize our divorce quickly. I have no desire to linger in this. He scoffed. Your marriage was already a facade. Having you as a shield is quite advantageous. Truly shameless. Suyen, I possess some conversations and evidence of your relationship that can prove he deceived me into marriage. With the Shin family backing him, what do you have? Let him sign promptly. I no longer wish to partake in your extraordinary romance. Su Yen departed with his medication. Just as I was about to leave, a black Mercedes suddenly halted before me. The window rolled down, revealing Yu Ling's cool and aggressive visage. Get in. I thought of the need for him to mark me twice more and thus did not decline. He let out a chuckle, the cedar scent wafting teasingly at my nostrils. You're quite obedient. Confused, I asked, how did you know I was here? When I paid for you that day, I switched the phone number in the partner section to mine. The hospital informed me as soon as you arrived. I fell silent, torn over how to deceive him into marking me again. He seemed to have dressed himself with care today, his hairstyle and suit particularly refined. I heard you're looking for work? Have you considered joining U Corporation? We just happen to need a designer. I hesitated for a moment, resolutely declining. No need. My resume doesn't meet U Corporation's standards. He appeared to anticipate my refusal and proposed another suggestion. A friend of mine has a studio for transfer. You put in half and I'll cover the other half. Surely that's agreeable? Before I could refuse, Ling drove me to the studio. It was not large, but I adored the decor and design. More importantly, it resonated perfectly with my vision. Before I could hesitate, Ling grasped my hand and pressed it onto the contract. What? Do you think I would harm you? Beneath the bright sunlight, his eyes were clear, and I found myself momentarily entranced. He leaned closer, his warm breath brushing against my ear. How do you intend to thank me? I lifted my gaze, only to realize the studio was now empty. He smirked maliciously. Only now do you think to call for help? It's too late. Ning, didn't I say that if you dared to reject me, I would make you regret it? I was somewhat stunned, not expecting my objective to be realized so swiftly. Yet he suddenly released me. Just teasing you. Do I seem like the kind of person who would take advantage of someone's vulnerability? I felt a tinge of disappointment. Days turned into weeks, and with Yu Ling's assistance, the studio gradually found its footing. He remained strictly professional, never overstepping boundaries. Yet, the feelings within me surged once more. After an evening of socializing, a man across from me smiled as he poured me a drink. I never imagined Mr. Shang could be so formidable. This drink is on me. After a moment's hesitation, I accepted the glass and downed it in one go. In the next instant, an insatiable fire ignited within me. I hurriedly pressed the elevator button. It was unbearable, as if 1,000 ants were crawling all over me. I thought he had drugged me merely to embarrass me, and I could use this opportunity to approach Yu Ling. Yet, I had not anticipated the potency of this drug. I curled up at the end of the corridor, gasping for breath as I dialed Yu Ling's number multiple times until I finally reached him. He arrived swiftly. Standing before me, he seemed to chuckle softly, tilting my chin upward. Remember me now? Ning, what makes you think I would allow you to summon me at will? Weren't you the one who left in a hurry that day? I clutched his pant leg, my voice heavy with suppressed desire, the sweetness of cherry wine permeating the corridor. Yu Ling, mark me. I want you. Damn it, Ning, are you a reincarnated fairy? He lifted me effortlessly into the air and swiped the card to enter the room. As he closed the door, I could no longer contain myself and clung to his shoulder. While he secured the door, he seized my mischievous hands, and in that fleeting moment, I tore off his outer garment. In the dimly lit room, our heavy breaths intertwined like a symphony. Ning, do you know who I am? He teased, halting playfully, refusing to grant me the satisfaction I craved. Unable to withstand the tension any longer, I wrapped my arms around his neck and implored, Yu Ling, you are Yu Ling. Woohoo! Finally, he fiercely sank his teeth into my gland. Call me husband. Husband. Time seemed to stretch indefinitely until my phone rang. Groggily, I reached for it, noticing Shun Sui's name flashing on the screen. Why was he calling? I attempted to hang up, but Yu Ling forcefully pulled me back. His moist fingers gripped my waist, manipulating and coaxing me. Be a good girl. Let me mark you once more. Just this once. I promise it will be the last. The moon and stars tumbled through the sea of clouds, shattering the moonlight across the floor. The next day, I awoke feeling utterly numb. Rubbing my sore waist, I silently cursed Yu Ling, that scoundrel. The last time he had promised it would be the last, yet each time he deceived me. He lazily extended an arm, pulling me back. Thinking of escaping? No, it's time to get up. I shot him a glare, noticing the numerous bruises on my body. He smirked triumphantly. Am I impressive? My phone displayed an alarming 99 missed calls, all from Shin Sui. Yesterday, while trying to call Yu Ling, I must have accidentally dialed my emergency contact. Yet, I had never seen him show such concern for me before. Confused, I scrolled to the top and discovered that a call had indeed gone through. An unsettling premonition crept into my mind. Shinsui couldn't have overheard. Could he? I tapped Ling, urging him to dress quickly. Just then, the doorbell rang insistently, the visitor seemingly unwilling to leave without a response. I couldn't open it. No matter who it was imperative not to answer. I dressed and headed to the bathroom to freshen up. The knocking ceased for a moment, only to be replaced by the sound of a card being swiped. Shinsui stood outside, his face pale, bursting in with fury, while Ling leisurely put on his pants at the other end of the room. Upon seeing Shinsui, Ling remained unfazed, casually fastening his belt and waving at Shinsui. "Good morning, have you eaten?" Shinsui's fist met him instantly, and they were soon entangled in a scuffle. The hotel manager was momentarily at a loss as to whom to intervene for. Shinsui was particularly fierce, and I couldn't allow Ling to come to harm. I tugged desperately at Shinsui, casting a meaningful glance at Ling run. Yet Ling did not flee. Instead, he produced his phone and presented it to Shinsui. "Have you seen Shang Ning's examination records? You've been married to him for 5 years, neglecting your duties as a husband for your little lover, and during his heat period you cast him aside. Have you ever considered what could happen to someone in heat? Shinsui, there are plenty of people who would want him. So what if I like him?" Shinsui's gaze was fixed on the phone, his expression one of disbelief. I thought he was deceiving me. Isn't there a suppressant? If others can use suppressants, why can't he? Ling scoffed. Suppressants? Didn't anyone tell you during the matching process? If one encounters a highly compatible match and maintains prolonged contact, they will continuously be stimulated by pheromones. Suppressants not only harm the body but also gradually lose their effectiveness. Shinsui's hand fell in despair, anxiously glancing at me. "Ning, I'm sorry. I truly didn't know. A yen clearly told me," I interjected. "I don't want to hear it. Come over and sign the divorce agreement." Ling's eyes lit up, swiftly arranging for 2 copies of the divorce agreement to be printed and delivered to me. As I leaned down, he caught a whiff of the cedar scent on me, Ling's fragrance. Shinsui shot up, his eyes reddening. "I disagree, I won't agree. I never said I didn't like you." Shinsui grasped my wrist tightly. "Shang Ning, come with me to wash off his mark. We can lead a good life together. I'll give Su Yen a sum of money, and we'll never see him again, alright?" I pried his fingers off my arm one by one. "But I no longer like you, Shinsui." He stood frozen, staring at me in disbelief. "I can change, Ning. I promise to treat you well from now on. I've realized that these days." I sighed, not believing in his genuine remorse, recognizing it merely as possessiveness. What was coveted was most desirable. I handed him the pen. "Sign it. Otherwise, I'll seek out the elders of the Shin family. They won't allow someone marked by another to remain in the Shin household." In the end, Shinsui still refused to sign, and Su Yen came to take him away. I tossed the divorce agreement to them and returned to the studio. Ling rubbed his arms and shoulders, grimacing in pain while casting sidelong glances at me. Shinsui had hardly landed any significant blows on him. Nevertheless, I retrieved ointment to apply to his wounds. He leaned back in the chair, his gaze fixed intently on me. "Ning, after your divorce, consider being with me. Wealthy, handsome." His warmth seeped through his thin shirt. "Most importantly, I'm good in bed." Mimicking his tone, I replied, "I'm not interested in men older than me." He paused for a moment, then shamelessly leaned closer. "Which age does Ning refer to?" My composure was no match for his audacity, so I shifted the topic. "What you discussed with Shinsui, so your appearance that day was not coincidental. Indeed, I noticed you frequently visiting the hospital, running into you several times at social gatherings. You didn't carry Shinsui's pheromone scent, so I discreetly inquired with the doctor. He said your condition was quite precarious. So I bribed a servant from the Shin family to look after you in secret, but I didn't anticipate that Shinsui, that scoundrel. What I had assumed was mere happenstance turned out to be his quiet concern." I posed one last question. "Your concern for me is because of Shinsui?" "No." He sat upright, looking at me earnestly. "Shang Ning, I have liked you for a long time. You might not remember, but 4 years ago, the Yu family's business faced troubles. I was running around, not eating for 2 days, and then got caught in a downpour, collapsing on the roadside. So many passers-by ignored me. Only you held an umbrella for me and even bought me a piece of bread. I was somewhat taken aback. That made you fall in love with me?" He shook his head. "The scent of cherry wine on you when you helped me up lingered in my memory." Ling later sought information about me, but by then, I had become Shinsui's partner. Shinsui acquired me but failed to cherish me properly. It was on that day that Ling became Shinsui's nemesis. Thereafter, he quietly inquired about me, caring for me from the shadows. It had been 4 years since then. Shang Ning, consider being my partner. It's all right if you don't feel ready now. I will wait until the day you wish to. Yu Ling's words left me in turmoil. I was reluctant to establish another relationship. Yet, Yu Ling seemed genuinely different from Shen Sui. Regardless, the immediate priority was to finalize my divorce from Shen Sui. A few days later, Shen Sui suddenly called to arrange for the divorce. His only stipulation was that he did not wish to see Yu Ling. I acquiesced. Upon arriving at the appointed location, however, he delayed mentioning the divorce. He ordered me a cup of coffee, which I disliked and had no appetite to share with him.
Shen Sui Chuckled WRYLY.
Let us go to the marriage registration office. I entered his car, only to be caught off guard as he swiftly rendered me unconscious with a handkerchief. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a pitch-black operating room. It felt as though I had been sedated, devoid of any strength. The indistinct voice of Shen Sui drifted in from outside. Make sure to clean her up properly. I'll pay you extra. Panic surged through me. This madman Shen Sui. What right did he have to erase my mark? After all, it was he who had coerced me into 5 years of suppressants for Su Yan. It was he who had betrayed me. Moreover, forcibly removing the mark on my body was illegal and could inflict irreversible harm. Given my prior extensive use of suppressants, I was particularly vulnerable to this procedure. I could die. I struggled desperately, but all I could do was watch as the doctor approached with a syringe, ready to pierce my vein. Sensing my resistance, the doctor paused momentarily, only to be urged by the assistant beside him. Doctor, increase the dosage. Sugu has offered more money, which implies we must ensure he doesn't leave the operating table. But, there's no but. Once we finish this job, we can leave. The doctor fell silent for a moment before complying. The cold liquid coursed through my veins, and I imagined he was picking up a scalpel. This truly felt like the end. A tear escaped my eye. Shang Ning, in your next life, make sure to choose wisely before marrying. Entangling with someone like Shen Sui could cost you your life. Time seemed to stretch on indefinitely, until suddenly, the sounds of a scuffle erupted from outside. Through the haze, a scent of cedar drew near, accompanied by someone calling my name with palpable anguish. Shang Ning. It was Yu Ling. I hadn't yet accepted your proposal. I never expected to awaken again. When I opened my eyes, Yu Ling was slumped against the headboard, clearly in desperate need of rest, a faint stubble gracing his chin. He stirred awake. Shang Ning, you're awake? A flurry of doctors surrounded me, inspecting me from every angle, and I felt a wave of despair wash over me. Is my gland? The doctor reassured me, it's fine. Everything is normal. They might have been trying to comfort me, I thought numbly. Yu Ling brought me kanji to eat, and I inquired about Shen Sui. He has been arrested, along with his little lover. The Shen family is trying to bail him out, but I've ensured the media reports the story widely, igniting public outrage. The Shen family's stock has plummeted in recent days. They have no time to worry about him now. He is likely to face 2 to 3 years in prison. I nodded. My concern for Shen Sui paled in comparison to my anxiety about the state of my gland. He suddenly recalled something. By the way, the Protection Association has initiated mandatory divorce proceedings. They will take you to complete the paperwork with Shen Sui. Finally, I could be free from him. After spending several days in the hospital, the doctors granted my discharge. Representatives from the Protection Association escorted me to finalize my divorce with Shen Sui. He looked significantly thinner, his clothes hanging loosely on his frame, resembling a vagabond. His eyes were bloodshot as he gazed at me with anguish. I'm sorry, Ning, I was wrong. That black clinic was referred by Su Yan. He assured me it wouldn't cause any harm. Su Yan deceived me. I only realized he was a fraud. The claim that he could save me while harming my gland was a lie. I'm sorry. I signed the final document, then calmly lifted my gaze. But I will not forgive you. As I stepped outside, the sky was high and clear, and I took a deep breath. Yu Ling opened the car door for me. Let us go. I'll take you home. After returning home, he used the pretext of caring for me to stay in the guest room. Ever since that incident at the black clinic, my gland had ceased to respond, which the doctor assured me was normal. Yet, I felt a twinge of fear. I wanted to test my feelings with Yu Ling. However, he remained polite, never crossing any boundaries. I could no longer contain myself and prepared some red wine. He sat at the far end of the table, his sleeves slightly rolled up, revealing a glimpse of his forearms. The night was pleasantly intoxicating, the gentle breeze mingling with the scent of cedar, stirring an inexplicable yearning within me. Tonight, why don't you come to my room? Yu Ling raised an eyebrow, all right. After showering, I opened the door and invited him in. He wore a thin nightgown, his collarbones strikingly alluring in the dim light. We tumbled onto the bed together, and his lips pressed softly against mine. I closed my eyes, ready to relish this sweet kiss, the appetizer before the feast. Yet, I heard him chuckle softly, and then there was silence. I opened my eyes to find him unexpectedly on the floor. "What are you doing?" He blinked at me while tucking me in. "Just covering you up." "I let you in to tuck me in?" "Of course not." I exhaled, anticipation rising within me. Then, in all seriousness, he retrieved a fairy tale book from the nightstand, and here's a bedtime story. I couldn't help but laugh in exasperation. He genuinely began to tell me a bedtime story, and before long, I drifted off to sleep. A gentle kiss brushed my cheek as I slumbered, his deep, melodious voice whispering in my ear, "Good night." I remained uncertain about Ling's true feelings. Gradually, the studio found its rhythm and gained some recognition under my stewardship. Ling stood at the door, fiddling with the car keys. "Come on, Ning, it's tough to get a reservation at this place." The sound of crashing waves intertwined with the elegant notes of a violin, the orange-hued lights casting an air of intimacy. I lifted a glass of red wine, sipping while gazing at the sea. Several boats drifted by, adorned with roses, shimmering lights spelling out my name.
Sang Ning.
"I love you and wish to spend my life with you as partners. Will you marry me?" Ling knelt on one knee, a ring in hand. I hesitated. My marriage with Shui had caused me profound emotional and physical scars, leaving me unsure if I was ready for another commitment. My voice was hoarse as I spoke. "Ling, I might not want to marry just yet." "So, Ling smiled slightly. "Do you like me?" My heart raced. I recalled his gentle care, how he had always rescued me from peril. How could I not be moved? "Isn't that enough? You love me. I love you. We don't need marriage to prove it." He slipped the ring onto my finger, his eyes bright. "I will wait for the day you are ready. But right now, my heart tells me we are already lovers." He lowered his head and kissed me. In that moment, the sounds of the waves and the wind became a mere backdrop, overshadowed by the mingling of our lips and the warmth of our bodies pressed together. The rapid beating of our hearts was the most direct connection of our souls. That night, he came to my room again, but this time it was not for stories. A solitary dim bedside lamp illuminated the space. The air was thick with heavy breaths. He pressed closely against me, his warm tongue tracing my neck, while his hands gripped my waist tightly.
Ning, relax.
I wrapped my arms around his neck, biting down on his shoulder, moving in rhythm with him as we transcended into another realm. The sound of rain pattered, the spring breeze warm and inviting, swirling around us, creating the most intense waves. The sea relentlessly crashed against the rocks, tumbling and shattering the moonlight scattered on the ground. "Ling, mark me." The room was filled with the scent of cherry wine as he teasingly licked my neck, making me plead several times before he finally bit down. With a slight sting, I trembled violently, then exhaled deeply. Ling leaned close, his voice husky. "Are you satisfied?" He moved slightly. "It's all right. I can make you even more satisfied." The night stretches long before us. Throughout this lifetime, I have traversed many places alongside Ling, who has consistently remained by my side. We have scaled snow-capped mountains, gazed upon the auroras, and sung joyously across endless grasslands. Eventually, in the year I turned 50, I took his hand and we registered our marriage. Holding the certificate, he raised an eyebrow in my direction. "See? I told you that one day you would marry me." Shui and Suyen had long since emerged from the shadows. The events of that year had profoundly impacted the Shin family, and Ling had persistently held them accountable over the years. The Shin family's influence had dwindled, and compared to Shui, they prioritized their own interests. Consequently, Shui was expelled from the family. He had offended many, and it was later rumored that he fell into dire straits. As for Suyen, he was deemed the principal culprit by the Su family. He had his legs broken by members of the Shin family and, after multiple attempts to reach out to Shui, was summarily cast aside and vanished from sight. To me, they are but inconsequential footnotes in the narrative of my life. I lifted my gaze to Ling, who leaned against the railing. "The sunlight today is exceptionally brilliant, as are the people it illuminates." The end of the text. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking to show your support. Until we meet again in the next story.